Take the time to train your mind. You are your most important investment. Time is your most important asset, but if your mind is not in line, then how are you going to use your time? Hey there, this is your personal reset button. I'm Dr. Jane, and as always, joined by the beautiful, the wonderful Coach Kendra.
Hello, everybody. So happy to have you here with us today.
Part of the bedrock of your reset button is understanding how your mind works and why you need to train it. But Kendra, I don't know if this is your experience, but a lot of people who come to me, they want like a really quick fix. They want just an easy solution. They want that magic pill. And the thing that they're not willing to invest in it is their time. There may be financial blocks there too, but before you have to figure out the finances, you have to commit your time. So let's talk about that today.
Yeah, so one of the first tips that we have for taking the time to train your brain or your mind is look in the accountability mirror. So in other words, the most important question or the most important conversation you have is with yourself. And you need to take the time to find yourself. And sometimes that means getting some help or getting a coach in order to really find out who you are as a person. So that's the first tip. And Dr. Jane can talk a little bit about what GILD Coaching offers in terms of helping you find yourself and having that conversation with yourself.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Kendra and I both coach individuals and groups with GILD in a variety of different areas. But one area that we've really found is a big need of high demand is mastering your mind. And so we actually do have the Master Your Mind program. It's a mentorship, and it takes you through the basic building blocks of emotional intelligence, mind mastery, and how to train yourself. The big problem that I'm seeing with people who and you know, we have tons of free resources, we have tons of things available, but the big problem that I'm seeing with folks who are only willing to go that far is they want that easy, it's just that instant gratification, the mail order type of a thing. You know, I actually fired a client fairly recently because she'd hired me for an executive coaching agreement. And when I work with business people to be better managers, figure out career moves and things like that. And she said, well, you know, I hired you to figure this out for me. And I said, well, you know, our agreement is that this is a partnership, that we're going to figure it out together, but there is some sort of work that you have to bring, some sort of mind power and investment of time. You can't just give me $10,000 and then I just deliver to you your magic formula. You know, you're going to have to implement the things that we discover that are your personal next steps. And, you know, I'm not the yard guy. Here's money, come mow my lawn, and then I'm done. And then you get to enjoy it and it's just done. Yeah. And so it's understanding when you get to a point where whatever you have right now is uncomfortable enough that you know that you have to make a change. That's usually when it comes. But until then, people are really foolish with their time. Not that it's foolish to not have a coach, but they think that they can just, you know, fritter away and then all of a sudden magical things are going to happen. And it's not true.
Well, and especially when you want to move to the next level in your life, you really have to take a look in the mirror. You really have to make the decision, be accountable for the decisions that you make for yourself. And one of those is maybe I work with people that are in trauma recovery. So if that's something that you're struggling with, then taking the accountability to contact us to be able to get help with that so you can move forward in your life. So that's basically what we're talking about there. The second thing that I want to talk about is a lot of times when people have a goal, especially a big goal, but could be any goal, and then all of a sudden the noise in their mind start talking. They have a woe is me mentality. Life isn't fair. That's just the way life is. I hear that a lot from people, and they use that as an excuse. They want to move forward. They see other people moving, doing the same thing that they want to do, but they just don't think that they can do it. So silencing the noise in your mind about your self-worth, about what you can do, and that's part of taking accountability too. And part of that too is not judging yourself off from others. So if you see somebody else soaring to the top, and you're like, oh, why can't I do that? And then it's a downhill slide from there. So do you have a couple of words to say about that, Dr. Jane?
Absolutely. I call that the negative self-talk soundtrack.
Yeah,
And what we do is all of our
absolutely.
experiences in life give us truths. And I'll tell you, 100% of what's in your self-talk soundtrack is truth at some point in your life or from some person's perspective. Good example, the little girl that we brought, a foster child that we brought into our house, she was 8.5 years old, couldn't swim, couldn't ride a bike. There were several things she couldn't do, or I said hadn't done, she'd say couldn't do. And I would watched her. I got her a bike that was a little too small for her body, but it was a learner, with training wheels. And I watched her literally, she'd get on the bike and the bike would be straight. And then she would lean her body to the side and like throw herself over. And it was her mind she fell down when she was little, or several different people noticed, oh, you have bad balance. And so she had this program in her mind. Well, I have bad balance. I have bad balance. I have bad balance. She repeated it to me several times. And so she just kept throwing herself over. I'm never going to ride that bike. Just like the training wheels almost broke off because they were really not sturdy enough for her size and weight. But, I said, let's stick with it. Let's stick with it. And then one day I noticed her on our trampoline doing a handstand, a free standing handstand. And I was a cheerleader. I did gymnastics. A handstand, a perfectly straight, only contacting the ground with your hands, handstand was kind of my Mount Kilimanjaro. It was that was the mountain that I needed to conquer, because for some reason I could hold it for 3 seconds and then it would drop. And so to see her doing it on a trampoline, a surface that's not steady, I have a home office and the window's right here. I can look out onto our patio in our backyard. It's a pretty garden back there. And I one day just opened the shades and looked, and I saw her doing this, and she was holding it.
Wow, that's
she was
amazing.
still holding it. And I just started counting, and it was something like 20 seconds. And then she fell over and was smiling and laughing and jumped on the trampoline. Then I walked, through our house, was still looking at her, and she did it again. I timed her the next time. It was 25 seconds. So I walked outside and I said to her, hey, I just want to point, mommy, did you see? Yes, I saw. I just want to point out to you that people with bad balance can't do handstands on the solid ground, but they definitely can't do handstands on the trampoline. Yeah. I just want you to consider that. And her face was like, talk about getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Like she was just like, couldn't deny it. She just did this thing. And then a half an hour later, she was zipping up and down our long driveway on her bike, like not even depending on her training wheels. So like that negative self-talk soundtrack, it's absolutely true if you allow it to be, but you've got to dig in there and figure out the root of those beliefs so that you can then reframe it. So she used that truth, I have bad balance. Then she got really angry at that truth. And she used it to fuel her. Well, dang it, I'm going to ride a bike. And by the same time the next day, her training wheels are off.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so amazing. It's so interesting how that works. I do it in my own life when I'm taking this extensive yoga training thing, and I used to be a bodybuilder, and I used to say, oh, I can't do yoga, or I'm not flexible. I've never been flexible. I was born that way. It's actually kind of funny.
Which is crazy because babies like put their feet behind their heads and stuff. So
right. And now I can literally almost put my foot behind my head. So it's not true that I'm not flexible. But it was something that I had ingrained into that negative self-talk, and was training myself to think. And once I got over that, then I was now I'm doing headstands, not handstands yet, but I can do a headstand and a split in a headstand. I'm like, what is going on?
That's awesome.
So it is amazing how the self-talk, the negative self-talk, and the positive. So you flip that around, and if you start thinking positively and talking positively to yourself, then things will change for you as well.
It's why affirmations are so important. It's
Yeah,
why we have so many
absolutely.
affirmation tracks on our YouTube channel. And one thing about the affirmation tracks, if people say I don't have time for that, bull. So all of our affirmation tracks are 10 minutes or less. So 10 minutes is
So
about
great.
1% of your day. So you can use 1% to make the other 99% better. So do those. They're there for you.
And it works. So that's the great thing. The last thing we kind of, you hit on negativity, so we just talked about that. But the last thing is grind yourself to greatness. And what that means is a lot of people will have a goal and they're meditating and they put it on their vision board and then that's it. They do that every day and then they're wondering why things aren't happening for them. It's work. You have to work. You have to take action. You have to do step by step. The people that I know that are making it in their life and living their life of passion and purpose are the hardest workers I know. Dr. Jane Mims is one of them. My coach, Master Shri Akarshana, is another one. You have to work hard. There is a point, in which you work, and then you've got some time to kind of enjoy. And, we all have that to do as well. But in the beginning, particularly when you're building something, it's a lot of work. So you do have to take action to get to your goal. So
I always tell people that goals without a plan are just dreams.
yeah, absolutely. And you can train, so you really have to train your mind or your brain to be in that work mode. Like, okay, what is your goal? Where do you want to go? And then you have to work towards it and stick to that until you get to a point where then you pick another goal. But
Well, and that's why so many people do come to us and for accountability coaching,
yeah,
one-to-one, our membership, that's just $49 a month where they have us all the time and we're just, you know, responding to them and giving them that accountability that they need. A lot of times that's what it takes. I don't know, Kendra, have you ever heard this? If you have a goal, just go and like broadcast it. Like if you're going to lose 10
mm-hmm.
pounds or if you're going to start like you do fasting a lot or your yoga program or whatever,
Yes.
you have any goal, go and tell people about it. Because I'll tell you, I do a lot of workouts in my home. I have video workouts. I do yoga. Master Shri Akashna leads us in yoga. And I'll tell you, when the camera is on, especially with that yoga, when the camera is on me, I will work harder because I know people can see me. And so if you have, sorry, guilty, but if it's visible, if it's a goal and you're the only one that knows it, yes, you are going to damage yourself if you fail or if you don't do it, because you're going to tell yourself that you're a failure in some way. But if you can find, you don't have to broadcast it to the universe, but if you can find those couple of people that you trust that will be supportive of you. Like if I have a goal, I know I can go to Kendra and say, hey, I'm just letting you know, here's my big picture. If you see me going in another direction, can you just kind of smack me? Or I'll say that to my coach, I'll say it to my mentor, Master Shri. And that's what we do with people. We are there for that accountability system because there's power in numbers.
Well, a lot of times what happens to people too, when they get a goal and they're working hard and they get to a place where they're working, but they're not seeing the fruits of their labors yet, then they end up quitting. So having somebody to be accountable to you or to tell you, hey, remember, this was your goal and this is the reason, these are the reasons why that you were doing this. Having that reminder helps when you have those days where you're not sure if you really want to continue. Most people that are doing some sort of big goal will quit after the first few months because they're not seeing anything happening. Instead of, if they just would keep going a little bit further, then they would start seeing the fruits of their labor. But
I've actually had my first business coach who actually ended my relationship because I surpassed where she was and didn't think that there was anything that I could learn from her anymore. which is what brought me initially to Master Sri. And then he ended up being so much more than a business coach. But my first business coach in a one-to-one once, she said, well, you just have to keep in mind that everybody has limitations. And, I'm just actually surprised that you're still here, because most people would have given up by now. And it was at that moment that I was like, yeah, I'm past you. With all the love in my heart and all the respect, because she helped me in several areas when I was first getting started, because it doesn't matter how many executives or entrepreneurs I've coached, when you're in the stew pot and the temperature's going up, sometimes you need help. You need the chef to come in and give you a little bit of extra seasoning or something. So she did help me. But at that point, that's when I was like, whoa, this is done. You're finished here. Most people would have given up by now. You're really determined. Most people would have given up by now. And then she kind of gave me a shrugged shoulder, and I was like, oh, you don't see my vision. With, I send all my loving energy to her, even still now, and wish her the best. But, that was, you have to be in touch with yourself enough to know what your vision is. And it doesn't matter how many people come and say, oh, well, you're shooting a little high, or this doesn't make sense. That's the truth from exactly where they stand.
Yeah, from exactly where they stand. That's a really, really good point. Yeah. So to kind of go over the points that we talked about today, the time to train your mind, look in the accountability mirror. So take a look at yourself, silence the noise and get rid of the negativity, and grind yourself to greatness. You really have to work hard. Find an accountability coach, which is what we do here at GILD Coaching and Recovery Focused Reset. Yep. So, and that will help you train your mind to head in the direction that you want it to and live your life of passion and purpose.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kendra. If this has been of any use to you, please give us a thumbs up so that we know that we are giving you what you need, want, like, and enjoy. Also, comment. Let us know that you were here. Let us know what you like. Take notes down there. Come back to it. We will answer every single one. We promise.
Absolutely.
It may take us a day or two, but we'll come and we'll answer you. We love you. We appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button. And if you have a bell, that is to set your notifications. So when you come on YouTube, they'll say, hey, your next reset button is ready. So we will see you next time.
See you next time.